Welcome to the final AJF Hangout. We've spent this year looking at art jewelry across the world, and we've been to Latin America, South Asia, South Africa, East Asia, lots of Western Europe, and finally we come to a very interesting and fascinating part of the world, Central and Eastern Europe. And I'm speaking from Melbourne, Australia, which is experiencing quite an intense summer storm at the moment. So excuse the occasional thunder and lightning. And I guess it gives a sense of the global scale of jewelry that I'm here speaking to you in the heart of an Eastern European winter. So I hope you can feel a bit warmer talking to me, and you can help me cool down a bit from Melbourne. So the purpose of this evening's hangout is to learn from our ambassadors about what's happening in their countries, and to ask the question whether there is a particular kind of contemporary jewelry that is emerging or developed in Central and Eastern Europe. These countries have, of course, a long history of jewelry. We think of the Bohemian history, the Russian, the various decorative arts traditions. But it's also very interesting for us to think of the contemporary condition of those countries as well. So we're very lucky to have 5 ambassadors with us this evening. If we'll just go around and if you could just say your name firstly, Tereza.
Hello, my name is Tereza Vernerova Volna, and I'm from Prague, Czech Republic.
Welcome. And Maria?
Hello, I'm Maria Riešik-Nepšinska from Bratislava, Slovakia.
Welcome. And Justyna?
Hi, I'm Justyna Stasiewicz from Poland.
And Dan?
Hello guys, I'm Dan Piersinaru from Bucharest, Romania.
Mm-hmm. And finally, Alena.
Hello, I'm Alena Yakimovich from Moscow, Russia.
Okay, so we only have 30 minutes, so we've got a lot to cover. Let's start with the Czech Republic. Tereza, can you tell us about the contemporary jewelry scene in your country?
Hello. Well, it's quite a difficult question, but I'm proud to say that the contemporary jewelry scene is quite rich in my country. I would say there are about 3 schools where you can study jewelry. 2 of them offer master degrees, 1 of them even doctoral degree. There are actually many designers and artists who do some jewelry, but the levels are different. Some people focus mostly on jewelry they can sell in galleries and do broader collections. Some of them tend to do some really art contemporary jewelry. There is not so many of them because also the options for them are not as big as in Western Europe. There is currently no gallery for contemporary jewelry in Czech Republic, which is a pity, but as Dan suggested, maybe it doesn't have to be such a big deal. So there are actually many options to work on jewelry when you're a jewelry artist or designer, but there are still a lot of issues that we have to handle and we have to work on.
And you're involved in a group of people working together?
Indeed, we started this group, this collective of jewelry artists in 2011. There is actually 9 of us, 9 of the jewelry designers and me as a curator, and we try to do some exhibitions together, both in Czech Republic and abroad. We also tend to collaborate with designers from both Czech Republic, but also abroad. We tend to invite designers from other countries to exhibit with us here in Czech Republic to present their work too. And we have a very strong connection with Slovakian jewelry artists, also with Maria Hreschik-Nepšinska, who is here. We did together some exhibitions, and currently there is a nice exhibition of Czech and Slovakian contemporary jewelry that is running from Jablonec nad Nisou, soon to Prague, then Bratislava, and then hopefully Poland too.
Before we leave you, can you just say the name of your group and also give us an example of an exhibition?
Indeed. The group is called Unosto. It's spelled UNOSTO. And we also have a website, unosto.cz, if you wanted to see some more jewelry.
And can you give us an example of an exhibition that you've put together?
Actually, the current one is that I was talking about. It's called A Zone Without Borders, which is referring to the jewelry that doesn't have both borders geographically, but also in the terms of material or the way how it looks. And it contains, I would say, 35 jewelry artists from Czech Republic and Slovakia, and presenting their newest works, let's say, in the past few years.
That gives us some clue, given perhaps the significance of borders in Central and Eastern Europe, that jewelry can play an interesting role in connecting between countries. So let's go to Slovakia now. Maria, can you tell us about what's happening in Bratislava and Slovakia?
Here in Bratislava, we have Academy for studying jewelry. It's just one school here in Slovakia, but I think it's enough. We are not such a big country. And then from 1990, here is an association of jewelers named Aura. And Aura is on a lot of projects, exhibitions, and symposium of art jewelry in Kremica, which is international symposium. We are inviting usually 8 or 9 people to spend 10 days in a beautiful city Kremica, and we are working on jewelry together. That's like the main subject of this symposium. And as Tereza said, we are cooperating together. Then we have from 2004 one jewelry conference which focused on contemporary jewelry. Usually it's 10 days, and there are discussions, exhibitions on some topic. And Jewelry Association Aura is a group of 35 people. We are organizing some exhibitions, this conference, and some international projects. One of them is Schmuckwander. It's a project trying to join international artists focusing on contemporary jewelry. But on the other side, the art jeweler field in Slovakia is quite split. The biggest problem is the absence of galleries. Some people who are focusing on design jewelry, they are selling some, but the others are focusing on concept jewelry, and is to go to Western Europe, to Amsterdam, to Munich, to show the ideas who are starting here. So our people are trying to connect with other jewelers abroad. So it's fine to talk and to make connection with you all.
So Maria, is it right when you say international that it's primarily Western Europe that is the international focus?
No, I mean that in Munich, for example, many people can meet. Yeah, in Munich you can find jewelers from Asia, from America. Yeah, because quite in Central Europe we are quite Polish people. We have nice connection with Hungarian jewelers, so we are quite close. But in this Western world, we can find like more interesting people with who we can share our ideas.
But it seems that you don't only have to go to Munich to connect with people in other countries, that you've set up something yourself.
That's why we are organizing this jewelry conference here in Bratislava. So we are inviting people to come here. So we are trying to bring these people to our audience.
Well, I hope we can promote that through AJF. That would be terrific. Now we go to Poland. Justyna.
Okay.
Tell us about the scene. You're in Łódź at the moment, yes.
Okay, I prepared a few surprises for you to help myself to speak about contemporary jewelry, because here the story of contemporary jewelry started very early, because even based on the story of my academy, our department was opened in 1959, so it's very early. We have two important schools where you can learn contemporary jewelry, even on doctoral level. And it is Academy of Fine Arts in Łódź and Academy of Fine Arts in Gdańsk. Few months ago, we had a big exhibition here in memory of Lena Kowalewicz, who was open our department. And I have a catalog from this exhibition here to show you. I don't know why I am so small, but it's very interesting because it shows. Oh, it's too small to show you. It's jewelry which was made in 60s. So and
wow, nice one.
But then it was very modern in shapes and materials. They works in bakelite. It's kind of plastic. And in Poland, we have also very interesting and active art jewelry groups. The first important exhibition was in 1975, and I also have a catalog of this exhibition.
UFO.
There are people from UFO groups.
I've seen that photo.
They started with contemporary jewelry here in 17th, and it was not only art forms but also narrative jewelry even then. So I think it's quite interesting. It's Jacek Byczewski. It's Marcin Zaremski and Jacek Sokulski.
Yes.
I wanted to show it to you because even invitations from this this years of 1770 was very interesting.
I guess one of the common experiences, obviously, Central and Eastern Europe is if you look at Jewry history, is the impact of the end of communism.
Yes.
And my sense is that that had a big impact in Poland. Yes, do you see that?
Yes. First of all, we had to move outside the border to learn something. So many of us, many of my old friends, because people from there are around 50 now years old. They trying to move, for example, to France to learn a workshop technique, and then they're back to Poland and help each others and share what they learned. So this is how it works.
See this. Some might see this as a loss of the Polish identity because of the influx of foreign cultures when the borders opened after communism. Do you see that? Or do people reflect on that?
No, I think not in jewelry. Anyway, sorry.
Do you have anything else?
Yes. We also now have many very active jewelry groups. I think the most active is AU Plus and Fox Square. I also have a catalog of these groups. This is Fox Square. Some works, maybe you know them, maybe not. And AU Plus, they have a lot of exhibition even now. And I also wanted to tell you about two very important events here, about the Silver Festival. It is organized by Letnica Art Gallery. Maybe you know it because
yes, we know it.
At Hoya in Barcelona or at Schmuck or in Horgenta in Munich. And at this festival, every year we have a big contest, and with different theme in every year. And this year it was identity. And also at this event we have a symposium of jewelry and a lot of exhibitions. And the second important event is Amberif, is jewelry fair in Gdańsk, but not art jewelry. It is for commercial jewelry, with a small district for designers. And at this fair we have also a contest. It calls Amberif Design Award, and the call for this contest is open now. So and at Amberif every year we have a very nice publication. It's a trend book, and you can find here not only a compilation of designers and artists from all over the world, but also contemporary jewelry made by students from Art Academy in Gdańsk.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Justyna. That gives us a feeling of the depth of history of contemporary jewelry in Poland, which I'm not sure we know that much about, but also the vibrancy of the scene right now. So move over to Romania, to Dan Piersinaru. How are things in Romania? Tell us about the scene there.
First of all, congratulations to Justyna for being such a good ambassador, showing us a lot. I don't even have the Autor magazine around me right now. So you are a good example. Bravo. Contemporary jewelry in Romania. First of all, we don't have history in contemporary jewelry in Romania. That's a fact. Let's say we used to have, and maybe we have craft people, makers, you know, which were a lot in the last period, but we don't have a history in terms of direction of, you know, like somebody which created his own style, even in jewelry, not even in contemporary jewelry. So contemporary jewelry in Romania is something really new. And I started to be involved, as I said, in 2005 in contemporary jewelry, and since then it was a very smooth, slow also, but a very nice and enthusiastic growth for contemporary jewelry. In terms of public, people which are curious and buying public of contemporary jewelry, and also in terms of schools and new creative people in contemporary jewelry which started to pop up from different cities in Romania. So regarding the schools, I think the main one is a private school which is called Assemblage, and they started in 2010. Yes, 2010. In 2011 I made also a contemporary jewelry workshop there. And besides that, it's a small studio, I think, in the north of Romania, and they're still on in Cluj-Napoca. And the state academies, the fine art academies, well, in some points they are connected with jewelry if some students want to do jewelry, but there is no focus on contemporary jewelry in the universities of fine arts in Romania. And well, this is not helping a lot the students and the young designers and creatives, but a lot of them are going outside of Romania to international schools like in Florence, Alchimia, Le Arteografi, and in Germany a lot, and in the north of Europe. So, well, if they can do that, they will do it. But I think what is important in Romania right now, it's Autor platform, which succeeded to put a sign on a map regarding Romania in contemporary jewelry. And this is not a small fact. Next year, we're gonna have the 17th edition of this fair, which started to be a platform, as I said before. We have the magazine, which it's an annual issue. And the next one, it will be out in April. We didn't made for the moment the call for entries. We are still working on the theme. It's a, let's say, it's not a, it's a conceptual magazine. It's a printed magazine in the way that we choose a theme, and we try to show the creative part of the jewelry, you know, in terms of let's say artistic points of view, if possible. And well, you know, publishing, it's quite an experiment, I think, everywhere, but especially in Romania. Printing something, it's not easy, but I have to say that since from the first issue, at least we cover all the costs of the magazine. And I think this is great, and we will continue doing it as long as we can do also this part of covering the cost, because it's not an advertising magazine, it's not a commercial magazine, so we sell it here in Romania when we have the fair and we have events, and it's quite okay. And otherwise we mail it by via post or to the people around the world, everywhere, even in Australia. There are other people ordering
and
it.
with such an international outlook in Romania, can you say that there is anything particularly Romanian about the work happening in that country, or is that for you an irrelevant question?
No, it's a very good question. The first answer in my mind was that, you know, contemporary jewelry sometimes is related to something particular from a space from where it comes, but otherwise it's something really open. You know, it's like art. It should touch everybody in a way that you know, it's not fixed in a place and it's not fixed to the personality of somebody. So I guess, well, it's probably hard to say that there is something very particular about contemporary jewelry in Romania. I will say that we have a very interesting buying public which comes to our store. It's a very curious public, which I also discover each edition with a very surprising interest. Which I think is very important, because if we want to talk about contemporary jewelry in the future, we need a public for this contemporary jewelry, or let's say art jewelry, or as you want. But without a public, a crowd which is interested, and it's a buying public in the end, well, it's kind of difficult. I saw artists and designers which after 2 years, 3 years, they stop. They stop because they don't find the right directions to sustain themselves, or, you know, to get visibility, and well, they get frustrated, and in the end they are fed up, and they go to do something else.
Yes, very impressive what you've been able to establish there, not just in Romania, but the wider world as well. Let's finally go to Russia, and we're very lucky to have the final appointment, the ambassador appointment. Alena, welcome. Tell us a bit about Russia. I'm sure very few people know anything really about the art jewelry scene in Russia. What are the signs of it?
Yes, I think that comparing to all of you in Russia, it's quite a young segment of art jewelry, and it's developing itself, and now we have MS in terminology, so we have no strong definition for this art of jewelry, and people name it designer jewelry, contemporary jewelry, art jewelry, and everybody means something for him special with this jewelry. And we have also a history, and as Justyna have showed us, we have also such examples in Russian jewelry, but now we don't call it as contemporary jewelry. So it's contemporary jewelry of that time. So, and now contemporary jewelry is something new, something unusual, and regarding schools for this designer jewelry, we have only one such school. It's one of the faculty of British High School of Design, and in Moscow. And they have the faculty, and it's it has started maybe 3-4 years ago, and now the students of the second year, they made their store, so they organized and opened their store. It's not a gallery, but it's I think the start of selling such kind of jewelry. So this store is named N1 Jewelry. It exists only in Instagram. I think this platform, they don't have their website, but the opening was just in this month. So I think that they have everything in their future. And regarding the schools also and higher education, we have faculty for jewelerists in universities, but it's about fine arts and professional jewelers, not designer jewelers. And regarding the background of these specialists, we have such people who came from glossy media. They are fashion editors or jewelry editors or maybe stylists, and they made their brands. And also there are a lot of people who came from other professions. For example, they were financial analysts and legal specialists, and they want to make something new, and so they go to this faculty of design jewelry, and they open their so they organize their brands and make jewelry, and quite happy with this.
Right, so it's like, Volna, that there is a quite fluid nature of art jewelry in Russia, that it's quite interconnected with the more commercial world. People come and go between them, which is interesting as a distinctive element. We've gone a little over time, and I want to hear from you now that we've covered 5 of the countries in Central and Eastern Europe, and clearly there are others we're yet to hear of, like the Ukraine, for instance, or Hungary. But from these 5 very important countries and what you've heard, do you think that there is anything that might distinguish the energies of what's happening in Central and Eastern Europe at the moment? Would anyone like to jump in with some thoughts on that?
I want to be sure that I want to be sure that I understood the question. So, if there is something like unique in this part of the world, that's what you're asking.
What do you share in common that's particular to being in Central and Eastern Europe?
What is in common? We're just discovering.
Any clues?
I think what is in common? Maybe I felt like well, I think Czech, Prague and Poland and so on, they're more on the same level. Let's say you have a lot of structures inside somehow. You have a history also, but what I feel connected is more between Slovakia and Russia in these discussions, that we are kind of in a starting point somehow still, you know. So probably this is an idea that I found from this discussion so far. So I see from my point. Yeah, please.
I might have an idea. I think that what is in common is the lack of some infrastructure that is maybe more common in Western part, which is like galleries, people who buy the contemporary jewelry, because as I see, no one is really a serious collector in Eastern Europe, right? Or I don't know if about your countries. So we have to find other ways how to work with the situation and promote jewelry. As Dan said, they have their magazine with Maya. They are trying to do this conference and other stuff. But so we are trying to find different ways that are the traditional ones used in Western Europe for years now. That's my idea.
Do you agree with that, Maria?
But we are working on it.
Sure.
Yeah, and in the future we are planning to invite people from Central Eastern Europe for our conference. Yeah, in 2 years I hope you will come.
Yes,
and,
well,
we can do something.
open the invitation and see what happens. You know, I think people will be attracted to a new part of the contemporary jewelry.
What I think it's new, what I think it's in common, in fact, I think is that we are in a part of the world where contemporary jewelry, it's something at his beginning. I guess, well, maybe not that obvious for all the countries, but I think that something this is something which could be something in common. We are speaking about something new, which doesn't make us special, which makes us more vivid and more willing to, you know, to start something and to have this energy of starting something, of this beginning, which I think it's quite interesting. You know, it's a lot of nice and beautiful energy in this this beginning, I think.
So energy is a key element. Would you agree with that, Justyna, in Poland?
Yes, I think I can agree with that. Even if we have quite a big history about contemporary jewelry, but here in Poland we don't use a contemporary jewelry word. We call the contemporary jewelry as artistic jewelry. That is why it's hard to find the border between what is art jewelry, what is contemporary jewelry, and so on.
Well, I think that's an interesting point, because contemporary jewelry presumes a kind of originality, something new. And it's defined by the value of how original it is, whereas that may not be appropriate in Poland.
Yes, but the problem is that even in 17th, artists use strange material to make a jewelry. And it's hard to say what makes contemporary jewelry contemporary. Is it a artistic form, or a narrative form, or different strange materials? I think here's the problem with the name for kind of jewelry.
We should all go to Bratislava for the conference to discuss.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we can discuss.
Let us know, Maya.
And finally, Alena, do you feel that there's a lot of energy in Russia at the moment, that in a sense this art being discovered?
Honestly, I don't feel a lot of energy, but there are not
Russia
so
is
many
big.
people. Yes, maybe, and it's winter now.
Winter is coming.
Everybody are frozen. But I think that there are many, not so many people, but they exist, and the field of art, you can't without energy do something in this field. So if you like it or not, and if you like it, so you could reach something. If you don't like it and you don't interest in this field, so you can't understand it. And I have in my view such people, and we are friends, and we try to do something in this segment of jewelry. And I think that sometimes I don't know how long it take, but I think that we organize something, and it will be a kind of support to our jewelerists and our jewelry designers. So I think that this part of energy will find its way.
Good.
So
we'll certainly look forward to that, Alena. So
Yeah.
we've come to the end of the Hangout now, and it's not just the end of this one, but it's the end of the series. And I want to thank you all for the work that you do representing your country. And I think for those who are in contemporary jewelry scenes, which are much more established, where there's a network of galleries and schools and so on, it's quite inspiring to hear how you're able to reach out from a scene which doesn't have that infrastructure to make something of yourself for development. It's very entrepreneurial. It's very, as you say, energetic, and maybe there's something about the experience of coming out of communism which sets up a certain kind of momentum, centrifugal and outward momentum, that contemporary jewelry is part of. And I think we also hear from you something which is about how little we know of the history of contemporary jewelry, if we can say the history of contemporary jewelry in your countries. And hopefully events like what Outdoor is doing, and the conference in Bratislava and the conferences in Poland can inform us more about that, and that AJF can be a truly global platform that connects people together. So that's the end of this series. So I think we have now a time capsule of the global art jewelry scene in 2017, and future explorers interested to understand what's happening in the art jewelry scene now can use these videos as a unique window, hearing from the actual people in those countries about what's happening, and seeing how a field like art jewelry is undergoing some quite radical changes as new countries, particularly non-Western countries, become involved. And I think trying to keep an open mind to different values of those countries to enable the field to develop will ensure that it retains its vibrancy and we can tap into some of the energy, as we've heard from Central and Eastern Europe. So dziękuję bardzo, spasibo, thank you so much, and we'll see you again.
Thank you, Kevin. It was great.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.